In today's video, we're going to take a look at the first two generations of Ford LTD. I do have a question for you though. The initials LTD, what do they stand for? What do they mean? I'll give you a second here to answer that. Okay, if you had an answer, you're probably as right or wrong as anyone else. Ford's never given a definitive answer to what those initials stand for. In 1965, Car Life magazine queried Ford on this. What does this mean? They refused to answer. A PR firm in Australia termed them Lincoln Trim Design. So that was out there, but that's never been confirmed by anybody either. There is a book called Super 60s Fords. They called it luxury trim decor, but that's the only place you're going to find a reference to that. So I don't believe that either. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the first two generations of Ford LTD. In 1965, the Ford Galaxie sees the introduction of the 500 LTD. It was designed and promoted as a luxury-oriented vehicle, offering features of more expensive vehicles with the lower price of a Ford. It featured a cloth interior with wood grain accents, contoured seats, and door panels. Options included power windows, power driver's seat, power brakes, power steering, air conditioning, and a full or half vinyl top. The Galaxie LTD was offered in two body styles, either a 2- or 4-door hardtop. The base engine was a 200 horsepower 289 two-barrel. Optional engines included a 250 horsepower 352 4-barrel, a 300 horsepower 390 4-barrel, or a 425 horsepower 427, which was available with a manual transmission only. 105,729 LTDs were manufactured for the 1965 model year.
Before you invest in any new car, invest 15 minutes, that's all. 15 minutes in a test drive of Ford's new LTD. We think you'll find it's the best time yet to go Ford. One reason, quiet. As you know, an LTD with a standard 289 cubic inch V8 and cruise-o-matic drive rode more quietly in tests than a new Rolls-Royce. And that's quiet. Take a minute to look into Ford's fabulous options. The swing-away steering wheel, the safety convenience control panel for your greater peace of mind. Discover such standard features on the four-door LTD as center armrest and silent flow ventilation. This is the only low-priced car to provide instant fresh air with the windows up. So take time out for a test drive. You'll see, it's the best time yet, in the best year yet, to go Ford.
In 1966, the LTD becomes a standalone model. It received a minor exterior revision, which included a split grille. Front disc brakes became an option. The engine choices remained the same as the year prior. However, the 427 was dropped and the top engine option became the 345 horsepower 428. 101,096 LTDs were built for 1966. 1967 sees a restyle for the LTD. It's now a sleeker car. The two-door coupe was now a semi-fastback, and a four-door pillared sedan joined the lineup. To comply with federally mandated safety regulations, the LTD received a padded steering wheel center hub, non-protruding instrument panel knobs, a dual-circuit brake master cylinder, four-way hazard flashers, and front seat belts. Twin comfort lounge seats, a 50-50 split bench, became an option. Engine options remain consistent, however the 352 is dropped and is no longer in the lineup. 110,505 LTDs were produced for 1967. 1968 is another restyle year for the LTD. Its interior and exterior dimensions remained largely the same, but the LTD sported all new sheet metal. Headlights were now horizontal and hidden behind vacuum-driven panels that blend into the grille. The two-door hardtop model sported a new fastback design. For the first time, the LTD badge was added to the wood-trimmed Country Squire station wagon. Four-door hardtops were restyled to more closely match their two-door counterparts. Changes in the engine lineup included the 302 becoming the base V8. The 351 Windsor was added to the existing 390 and 428, who soldiered along as the high-end V8 options. 138,752 LTDs were built for the 1968 model year. 1969 sees yet another restyle for the LTD. An all-new body features a split grille with a horizontal center divider, A red reflective panel ran across the rear of the car below the taillights. Inside, a new dashboard wrapped around the driver, which put many of the controls closer to the touch. A couple of unusual choices for the interior included the radio controls positioned to the upper left, putting them out of the reach of passengers. Also, the headlight knob was located under the dashboard, making it difficult to reach. Models included a 4-door hardtop, a 5-door wagon. The 2-door hardtop was now available in 2 different styles, a formal 2-door hardtop or a semi-fastback with a rear window design shared with the XL Series sports roof. The 302 remained the base power plant, with the 351 and 390 as optional engines. New for 1969 was the 429 cubic inch V8. The 429 was available in a 2-carbureted version rated at 320 horsepower or a 4-barrel carbureted Thunderjet rated at 360 horsepower. The front side marker lights were accompanied by engine displacement callouts. 417,677 LTDs were produced for the 1969 model year.
This may be the quietest room in the world. The room where Ford tested some of the world's quietest cars, and then built a Ford that was even quieter. The room where Ford developed a new kind of quiet and built it deep into the 1970 Ford. Deep into the interior. The frame, the body, the suspension, and built it to last mile after mile. The quiet room and the 1970 Ford. If you appreciate a great luxury car, take a quiet break in a 1970 Ford. Ford gives you better ideas. It's the going thing.
1970 saw minor revisions. The split grille was discontinued, replaced by a 3-segment grille with a prominent center section. All LTDs got the new federally mandated locking steering column and wheel, with the ignition switch now located on the right side of the column. An LTD Brom luxury trim package was offered. This came with all optional equipment on other LTDs as standard. It was offered on the 4-door sedan, 4-door hardtop, and 2-door hardtop. All Broms received a padded black vinyl roof. The drivetrains carried over from 1969. 373,934 LTDs were made for the 1970 model year.
With the world getting noisier and noisier, it's hard to find a nice quiet spot these days. And it's becoming harder. Even out here. Noise. There's no getting away from it, right? Wrong. Because while everything's getting noisier, Ford cars stay quiet. Why? Because quiet cars come from strong cars. And Fords are built strong. Result? The 1971 LTD is one of the quietest riding Fords ever. Take a quiet break in the 1971 Ford. Ford gives you better ideas.
1971 brings yet another restyle. In the rear, the twin taillights are replaced by horizontal taillights. In between, there's a center reflector resembling a third brake light. In front, the LTD lost its hidden headlamps but got a new front end treatment with a tall center section grille. I have to think this is inspired by the then former president Bunky Knudsen, as it has his fingerprints all over it. With the discontinuation of the XL series, the convertible was moved to the LTD line. The fastback design was dropped and coupes reverted to a more formal look. Brom models carried over as the top trim package. The interior was revised as well. The dashboards were all new and eliminated the wraparound style. The radios were put back to the right of the driver. The base engine was now a 400 cubic inch V8 with the 429 as an option. 441,251 LTDs were made for 1971. 1972 brought little changes to the LTD. The front bumper was now stretched across the lower section of the grille. A new rear bumper with integrated tail lamps was added, and the design of the trunk lid was squared off. Due to a decreased demand in the segment, 1972 was the final model year for the LTD convertible. 364,610 LTDs were built for 1972. 1973 brought a major redesign to the LTD. The body was all new. Convertibles and four-door hardtops were gone, but the two-door hardtop, four-door pillared sedan, and five-door wagon were still available. New federal regulations forced several changes. 5-mile-per-hour front bumpers were required, with larger rear bumpers to follow in 74. The base engine was now the smaller 351 cubic inch 2-barrel carbureted V8, with the 400 2-barrel and the 429 4-barrel carbureted engine as options. The 400 was standard on wagons. Brahms remained the top trim level. Interiors and dashboard designs were all new, but the layout was similar to the previous years. To continue the LTD tradition, a sectioned red reflective taillight strip ran between the taillights, and the LTD initials returned in the middle. 555,978 LTDs were manufactured for the 1973 model year.
Hello, I'm Hugh Downs, and I'm here to pass along a very strong opinion of the 1974 Ford LTD. The Ford Motor Company thinks that the workmanship in this car can stand up to the closest kind of inspection. But what do you look for in a well-built automobile? Well, experts say you should look for things like straight door seams, an even space where the trunk and hood join the body. Now, those are just two of the many inspections outlined in this booklet that tells you what to look for in a well-made car. And you can pick up a copy now at your Ford dealer. Obviously, Ford thinks this car can stand up to a close examination from people who know what to look at. If you're thinking about buying a new car, think about that. Everyone says compare. Ford and your Ford dealer are telling you how.
The quiet Ford. The closer you look, the better we look.
1974 was mostly a carryover year from 1973. The 5-mile-per-hour crash impact bumpers were added to the rear, and a different grille with horizontal bars was added as well. The 460 cubic inch engine became an option for the first time, as the 429 V8 was dropped. Mid-year, a non-wood-grained LTD wagon became available. 302,627 LTDs were built for the 1974 model year. 1975 brings little change to the LTD. Ford discontinued the Galaxie series after 74 and sought to fill the void by expanding the LTD lineup. Above the custom 500 was the standard LTD, the LTD Brom, and the newly introduced for 1975 LTD Landau. In an effort to comply with impending rollover standards, the two-door was converted from a hardtop to a coupe with wide B-pillars and a tall, narrow opera window. The LTD Landau featured rear fender skirts, saw the return of hidden headlamps, and various decor packages for additional luxury features. Hidden headlamps were also shared with the LTD Country Squire wagon. A catalytic converter now required the use of unleaded fuel. The gas gauge and fuel filler sported warnings to this effect. Over 311,000 LTDs were built for 1975.
For the millions of people who need a full-size car, introducing the 1978 Ford LTD. If you need 6-passenger space, if you need a roomy trunk, if you want mileage like this, then the full-size 1978 Ford LTD could be just the car for you. LTD, a better idea from Ford.
I'm going to cover 1976 through 78 in the same segment, as there were very few notable changes to the LTD. 1976 brought optional 4-wheel disc brakes and an 8-track tape deck. It also marked the last year for the LTD Brom trim level. 1977 sees the LTD Landau receive the former Brom interior as its base offering. There are no other changes of note. 1978 was the final year for the 121-inch wheelbase LTD, as it was replaced by the downsized Panther platform generation for 1979. My first street legal car was a 1971 LTD. Cost me $400, and as a dishwasher at Big Boy, that's quite a bit of change back in the early 80s. If you were alive in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you knew somebody that had an LTD. They would also pop up on your television screen constantly as Ford provided cars and trucks to plenty of television series. The LTD was an important car to Ford, so I wanted to cover it. If you're a fan of the bigger Fords, maybe check out this video over here. It's on the Torinos. That's an intermediate car. It covers them from cradle to grave. If you like this video, please hit the like button. That way other people see it. Also, if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing. There's plenty of it on the channel. That's it for now. Until next time, we'll see you.